What's up YouTube? I'm back. So I've pulled out the wet palette this time and we're going to go ahead and get started with our fire dragon. I've already got them primed up and ready to go. And yeah, things got messy. Tried to clean up what best I could. But so we have some source material to look at for our red dragon here. I'm going to do what painting I can. And we're going to see how well this turns out. So let me get the dragon set up ready to go and everything else set up ready to go. Get our brush out. Grabbed a different dry brush. That feel will work a bit better for this one. And we'll see how this looks. So welcome back YouTube. So I've got dragon nice and primed up here. I've already got on the wet palette some deep red and some red shadow. In between two of them, we're going to go ahead and place a base coat. We're going to use the flat brush for this. Now this red shadow is kind of going on with kind of a brown color, but we're going to build up from that. And when I put these other reds on top of it, it should give it a nice pop. So, in fact, why don't we zoom in some so you can see this dragon better. There we go. Now, I'm not used to painting on camera. This is new for me, but hopefully these videos will help us see how well I progress as time goes by, and maybe I can learn something from it. Maybe some other people can learn some stuff from it too. So I'm just being very generous with this base coat. I just want to get these colors started. Now, as you can see, I've got the wet palette out this time instead of the regular palette. This will help keep my paints wet longer. They won't dry out as quickly on me. But also, other nice benefit for it that you'll see me using later is as I try to push more water through the parchment paper, I can turn my paints into glazes instead of just painting it on nice and thick like I'm doing now. And that's kind of what I want to try to do with this deep red. Is kind of just glaze over this red shadow and start tinting this red shadow up. I also pulled out a different dry brush that I feel will work a bit better with this particular model. So we'll see how that works for me as we get into that. And then as well, the other thing we have with this mini is something that the source material shows off really well, is red dragons have kind of like this white creamy underbelly. So I've got some ivory colors to kind of go with for that. And also another thing I'm going to try to do is with these wings and all these leathery looking bits, I'm going to try and get more of these brighter reds to come through there and try to be a bit darker with the scales. Now, I haven't decided how I'm going to do the eyes yet, so we'll see how that ends up looking as we get to that. Nor have I really considered how I'm going to do this tongue. Something I've done kind of in my projects in the past, when it's come to like dragons and whatnot, is I've gone for more of a purple color with the tongue. So I may revisit that and kind of see how that looks. I'm also considering for this small little bit of stonework here, kind of what I want to do for painting that up. Typically in lore, red dragons are going to be more volcanic, so I might try my hand at doing like say a obsidian sort of color into it. Now this tail kind of bends all over the place on me, so you're going to see me moving that around a lot in this video. Now this Reaper Mini for the dragon has like a very different pattern for the scales on its side than it does the scales on its chest. And when I go to do towards the end of the month the paint and take with the Nolzur Mini from WizKids for their red dragon, I know that one all of the scales are going to be more the style of these chest scales, so I'm going to have to think over how I want to detail that one a bit differently. May go more layering style than dry brushing with that. Now I don't know how long it'll take to paint this many, or how long we'll get when we go to do the paint and take mini. But hopefully this miniature here will give me a nice idea of kind of how I want to do my colors, and I can get all my experimenting out of the way here on this one, and the other red dragons that I talked about in my previous videos. And kind of the hope is with the experimentation, when it comes time for the paint and take, I won't be wasting any time debating colors. I'll be able to just grab from what I've got and get started. Now, in the past, I was always a very methodological painter. I didn't really like doing fast paint jobs, but after doing the owlbear and them only giving us 2 hours for that, I felt like I did a lot in 2 hours. Way more than what I'm used to doing. So I know they said for the Red Dragon they're going to give us a longer time to work with it. So I'm also looking at the potential of doing 2 of the local stores for the Red Dragon. So I might actually be getting 2 of them done. And if that's the case, then I may go for something a little less orthodox on one of them. Still try to go, I know I'm going to go traditional on at least one of them. And just like how I did the little video for the owlbear, I'll do a nice little video posting, letting y'all see how the Red Dragon or Red Dragons turned out. Now, kind of the hope is to go to posting videos once a week. And I know I don't have too much of a crowd out there YouTube, but for those of you who have followed my channel and checked me out over the years and followed me through all the different games I've posted for, I want to throw a shout out to y'all. Y'all have been great, really good audience, and if y'all really like these videos, then by all means, please share them, send them to people. Because one thing I would definitely love is to see these videos help others just as much as it should help myself. Because I would love to have these as a great reference material for me to go back to and kind of see how I've developed, especially if I'm going to be painting a lot more often now. Because if I'm going to be painting, going back to painting kind of daily, like I might be able to see like progression over the course of months, as opposed to looking at miniatures that were painted years ago and seeing where I am now. I know I've lost a lot of skill from just being out of practice, but I'm also seeing like a lot of my techniques returning, and like going back on YouTube and watching videos of how people have done things. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I want to check out, try for myself, things that I was unable to do in the past I may try to do again. This guy really has a lot of surface area to cover, a lot more than I was realizing. As y'all see, I'm going into, what is it now, the third adding in of this red shadow, and I'm still not completely covered the mini, so So I know I want to do the entirety of the head red. We'll start the nice little scale pattern with the whites on the neck. And then I don't have too much to work with horns on this guy, but I know these two right here are going to end up being horns, while the rest is going to be spines. Okay, I think that's a nice good solid base coat of this red shadow. And try to get some better light so y'all can see this a bit better. So it's got a nice deep dark red brown color. So let's get all that out of the brush. Now, what I'm going to try to do now, I'm going to try to push through, kind of thin this red here to more of a glaze. I just want to kind of glaze this over. Bring these nice deep reds. Give this red shadow more of our classic red look. And since I'm going with more of a glaze here, it's definitely going to take a lot more layers to kind of build up this color. But it'll also blend it really well, and we'll have a lot of those deep dark brownish reds coming through. And let that red shadow really tint this mini kind of like how I wanted. So we're getting these nice reds in here. Starting to really bring the color to life. I know for a lot of this I'm going to be fast forwarding through so that you aren't just sitting here for hours watching me paint. So I can kind of shorten this video down. Also got battery life to keep in mind, so I'm going to put the video on pause here, YouTube, and we will come back when I've done these nice red shades through to get kind of a good blend in there. Okay, YouTube, we're back. I got some nice layers here, and now we've got a nice deep dark red. There's still a good amount of brown to him, but that's a nice base for me to work off of. So now that I've done that, I'm going to be switching back and forth on techniques. So I'm going to go start doing some dry brushes as I build up color, and then to tone it back in, I'll be doing glazes with the previous colors. So we're going to start working with this fire red here. Seems to be a little bit clogged up, so let's try to fix that. This one's clogged really good. There we go. There we go. So, got my dry brush here. Let's go and get the dry brush wet, get the bristles good and ready to be used. So I'm going to bring in here, I'm going to load up my brush, and then I'm going to wipe off most of that paint and leave just some dry pigments behind on the brush. And this should let me hit just the raised edges. Leave this nice base color behind in the recesses. And actually, looking at these wings, I might just go for some straight layering on the wings to get the effect that I want, because they don't have as many raised edges. But for these scales, I should be able to get a nice, good transitionary color in here. And like I said, I can use glazes to kind of tone it down. See if you can see in there where I'm starting to get this brighter red. So I'm going to go ahead and go through with that, and then I'll be back, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? We're back. So that fire red has added a lot of nice details. It's definitely coming out to look like a red dragon now. I'm also liking the shadow being more leathery in the wings, so I'm thinking I want to actually leave the wing leather darker as opposed to lighter like I was originally thinking. So now we're going to start getting some really bright colors in here. We're going to start dry brushing with some of this Phoenix red. And it's going to really start getting some oranges to it. My wet palette seems to be stopping to agree with me, so we'll see how well this works out. I may have to go and set up a new sheet for the wet palette to continue, but do what I must. So we're just gonna, like I said, load it up, brush most of it away, and then this is just gonna come behind and hit the highest areas. And we will tone this down with some glazes where we need to. But on top of these other colors, this orange is really making it pop. You can try to get the light a bit better so y'all can see it a bit better. But yeah. See if we can get nice on the face there. So I'm going to continue with this and then I'll be back. Peace out, YouTube. So I'm back, YouTube. That is with the orange, and that gave it a nice, I was going to originally consider going to some brighter oranges, but I think what we've got right there is good. So I'm just going to tone this back with some glazes now to blend all this together. And I'm going back to that deep red and glazing it on top. And this should really make all that highlight work that I just did really pop and look really well blended together. So I'll be back with the finished results of this in a little bit, YouTube, and then we will start working on, I'm thinking, the chest. I think we'll start working on the chest. Back, YouTube. So I said we blended it all together as best we could. We're now going to come in and we're going to paint the central area. I pulled out a smaller flat brush to try to do this. We'll do our detail work with the liner brush here. So I've already poured into palettes, which is the normal palette now, the stained ivory and the creamy ivory. So we're going to base with our stained ivory. We're going to come in and highlight with the creamy ivory. We're just going to come in, paint it. This paint is a little on the thin side, so it may take more than one layer to get a nice, good and even base coat. But as y'all can see here, it's got a nice, good cream color to it. Pretty much what we traditionally think of when we think of a dragon's underbelly. But all this painting here is giving me some ideas for when we do the little paint and take competition. And at the rate that I'm going with it now, with kind of like what I'm thinking, I may have two very, very different models if I go to both events, because I've gotten some ideas and we'll see how I'll go. I'll go very traditional for one. I'm going to kind of keep my mouth shut on what I'm thinking for the other one until I can kind of have some paints in mind. And I might do a sample, since I got two Pathfinder red dragons over there. I might do one of them up with what I'm thinking for the other palette. Well, I shouldn't say palette, but paint scheme. So that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm doing right here with this stained ivory. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to get all that painted up, and we'll come back before I do the highlights. We are back, and I have painted my base. So now with this creamy ivory, I just want to come in and highlight the edges of the scales. And that'll give it a nice effect the whole way down. And this is why we switched to a liner brush, because that'll give me more control for this style of detail work. And when we're done hitting the scales that we're going to hit like this, we're going to come in and we're going to start, I think I'm going to go for the tongue next. And I think I will do, as I was saying, go for more of a purple like I've done in the past. So I'll look through, see what colors I have, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, be back in a bit, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? I'm back. So I've got these very violet purples right here, and I've got a red that is a violet red. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to tone down the sunset purple and violet light with some of this violet red to go ahead and do that tongue. So I'm going to go with the violet light for the base color. Which, once again, looks like we have a clogged bottle. Okay, come on. Just cleared you up. So I'm going to go for about 3 drops on the violet light, and I'm just going to do, I think, a single drop of this violet red just to get a little bit of red in there. So I do want it to be mostly purple. Hang on, this is clogged up too. I cannot catch a break with these bottles tonight. So there we go. So that's one. And then this sunset purple here is how we're going to highlight it. Which also appears to be clogged. So once again, about 3 drops, and we're going to go for just a single drop of the red in that as well. Okay. So okay, maybe a little more than a single drop. That doesn't add much. So let's go for another nice sized drop in each of these. There we go, that's more of what I'm thinking. So I'm going to stick with this liner brush for painting this. And we're getting in here. We're just going to paint the tongue and the roof of the mouth with this color. And then we'll come back in and we'll highlight the tongue with our sunset purple mix. Then after this, I think we're going to switch to doing our teeth and claws. Like little bone spikes at the tips of the wings. And then we can kind of call this guy... Well, no, I can't call him done with that because I do still have this little bit of stone here. And I'll have to find the colors that I want to do the stone with. See that? That's not coming through with enough purple. Even though that is mostly purple, that looks more red. So let's add a little more of the purple to that. Try to blend it back down to what we want. There we go. I'll give that tone some nice coloring. Hate to mix that much paint for that little bit of an area, but to get the colors you want, sometimes you have to do that. So now, what I've got here for bone colors is I've got that bone shadow again, the yellowed bone again, some more of the aged bone, and then we've got, for the most brightest of the highlights, some polished bone. This polished bone here I might only be hitting the teeth with. We're also going to have to figure out how we're going to do those eyes. So I'll have to start thinking about the eyes too. Those fiery oranges that I put to the side, I might pull those out to do those. I know I'm going to have to pull some of my black out to